Chapter 27, Suspension Systems, Day 2, Video 2, Air Springs. So what we're talking about here is the air springs or airbags, a adjustable system that's built into the truck so that we can compensate for more load that's put onto the suspension or the frame transferring through, so we can adjust the load carrying capacity of this truck by inflating or deflating these air springs or the airbags. So if we look at the top airbag that we've got here, a reversible sleeve, probably the most common that we've got for suspension. The makeup of that air spring is we've got a rubber bladder that's made up of kind of a similar situation as a tire would have. On the sidewall, we've got cords or layers of cords here, rubber around that. Gives it its size and structure and its load carrying capacity. And then we pipe in air pressure through a fitting in here, and now we can fill this chamber with pressurized air, and that pressure is going to be working against the surface areas here again to pressurize and to increase load carrying capacity. The reversible sleeve, we've got this sleeve or the piston on the bottom here that's got a smooth surface, so as that air spring is inflated and deflated, it will roll over itself and then forms around this piston, the smooth surface of the piston. So it is constantly being rolled down and around over itself, down the piston. We inflate it and it rolls back the other way and inflates and raises the frame suspension here. The lower one, double convoluted. So we've got one air chamber in here, but we've got this hoop, or this girdle hoop or strap that comes around the middle and gives it a different shape. The side, the material that holds this together is again the same as like on our reversible sleeve, where it's got cord and rubber holding together. We've got air fitting that comes in and fills this surface area here. But due to the shape of this air suspension, the bellows here, as we increase pressure, these expand in a more linear motion. So these are great for using for raising and lowering, like drop axles, tag axles, that sort of stuff. Specialty fifth wheels for like on a hostler where we're going to move that fifth wheel plate up and down. So these are well suited to that. But again, the same condition here with the cords and the rubber for the sidewall. What controls the air pressure into and out of the air springs is what we call a height control valve. So we've got a valve that is attached to the frame. We've got a linkage lever arm that comes out here, and then now we've got the linkage that comes from that, connects onto that control arm down to a mount that's on the suspension. So as this frame moves up and down with load being put on it or taken off of it, that will change the angle of the control arm. Since the end of it is attached through linkage to the frame or to the axle, it will either move up or move down as we add load or take load away from the tractor or the suspension. That upsets the balance of this control arm and then allows air to flow through the valve and either into the airbag or the air spring and causing it to inflate, or if we go the other way, it will allow air to exhaust out and then allow that airbag to start to collapse by lowering the pressure in it. The idea behind the height control valve is to maintain a constant frame height, and we adjust that because of the linkage that we've got here. It always wants to maintain a single height of the frame. So if we look on here, as we add weight, the frame would move down. It would compress the bag a little bit. That would upset the balance of our linkage here. Open this up, and now air pressure would flow in. Add air to the air suspension of the airbags and cause it to inflate and push that frame back up. Now as it got up to the adjusted frame height, the control valve then closes off, no air in, no air out, maintains that pressure in the suspension and maintaining frame height. The rest of the air suspension system here, we've got an air tank, so we're going to use the compressed air from the tractor's braking system. We protect it with a pressure protection valve so that we don't want a damage to the air suspension to cause a air loss in our braking system. So we've got a pressure protection valve, maintains the pressure, air coming into the height control valve, which then controls the air going out to the individual airbags, attached to the frame, and then controlled by the height control valve linkage. Now we've got another line that comes up here is for a dump valve located in the operator's compartment, so that the operator can trigger that dump valve, lower the air pressure in the suspension, and cause that frame to drop down. So then now attached on the frame is the fifth wheel. He can now back under a trailer, engage the fifth wheel, make sure it locks and all that, hook up his hoses and his cords and all that, raise the landing gear, and then he can actuate the switch in the cab, air up the suspension, and raise it back up to its original height.